Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, words my brethren in Puerto Rico. Shout out to Puerto Rico. And speaking of Puerto Rico, let's talk about Puerto Rico's own former Olympian and coming off of the biggest win of his career on the undercard of Rungvisai Estrada. Let's talk about McWilliams Arroyo, who scored a very entertaining, fun fight to watch. He scored a decision victory over Carlos Cuadras. A fight that he really needed because his career thus far has left a lot to be desired. You can make the arguments too that with McWilliams Arroyo, maybe he's been mismanaged a little bit. The fact that he hasn't fought since the Gonzalez fight, I think, is pretty alarming. But aside from that, he's always been a solid pro. He's always been someone that is a contender, right? But he hasn't been able to win those fights that mattered. He got unjustly. Many people thought he lost to Amnat Ruinrong in Thailand. He got robbed. So then he was looked at as the uncrowned IBF champion when he fought Gonzalez. Then he lost to Gonzalez because, let's face it, Roman Gonzalez was beating pretty much everybody not named Rungvisai in the division. And then he took this fight against Cuadras, and it was pretty much a do-or-die fight for him. Coming off a 2-year layoff, coming off a Cuadras that had lost to Roman Gonzalez, had gotten lost to Juan Francisco Estrada. It was a fight that he had to win, and I gotta say, it was, and on top of that too, I think a lot of things that a lot of people overlooked, and I'm included in that bunch, is that McWilliams Arroyo, it was his first fight at 115 pounds. It was his first time moving up to fight in the new weight class, so he's having to dad a lot of things. He's coming off the inactivity, coming off of the fact that he's fighting in a new weight class, and on top of that, fighting one of the better fighters in the weight class, it calls Cuadras. And I thought, all things considered, he looked really, really good. Really, really good. Naturally strong at the weight. His punches looked like they were a lot more effective than Cuadras, who I do think is on a downward slope as a fighter. I don't want to say he's a shot fighter, but he's definitely declining quickly as a fighter. His reflexes are kind of on what they used to be. His punches don't have the same effect as they used to have on fighters. So and on top of that, just knowing what I know from Cuadras, because I've seen him in person when he's preparing for a fight, because I saw him fight with Roman Gonzalez, and then I saw him 3 months later at the WBC convention, and he looked like two different people. So I know he's one of those guys that balloons up away between fights, and that's how you decline very quickly as a fighter, by ballooning up and weight between fights. And we can verify that because it's been confirmed by some of his old trainers that he didn't have the best training habits. But as far as Arroyo goes, despite the fact that I think Cuadras is on the downward slope, it was still a fantastic performance. A lot of people weren't picking him to win. Nobody knew what to really expect from McWilliams because he was fighting in the new weight class, and we hadn't seen him since the Roman Gonzalez fight. We hadn't really heard much from McWilliams Arroyo since the Roman Gonzalez fight. But after seeing that fight, I want to see more of him. I want to see another fight with McWilliams Arroyo, and I don't think, if he gets the call to fight for a world title, if he gets the call to fight in Cajas or a Rungvisai, which that might happen because they're going to plan to do the Superfly series in fall on HBO again. So I won't be surprised if it happens. But you have in Cajas, you have Rungvisai, you have Kalia Phi. Now, the ranking systems have not been updated because I did just go check them. Arroyo is not ranked in the WBC top 40. He's not ranked in the IBF. He's not ranked in the WBA. I didn't check the WBO, but he's not ranked in those sanctioning bodies that I just mentioned. So with that being said, when the rankings do get updated, which I don't know when that's going to happen, but when they do get updated, I want to see where he's in on the rankings. And I would like to see, what are some options for him, because he looked really, really good in that fight. First, we'll start talking about defensively. His guard was very tight. He was blocking a lot of punches. He was just very sound defensively and a hard guy to hit. Maybe not the most flashy with his defensive movements, but very effective. I thought he committed very well to his jab. Kind of got away from it for a couple rounds early in the fight, but when he was committed to his jab, it was landing. It was having an effect. It was hurting Cuadras. And the most impressive thing about McWilliams was when he started going to that body, especially in that first round and even in some of the middle rounds. He was doubling up, sometimes even tripling up on the left hooks of the body, and they were having visible effects on Carlos Cuadras. So overall, with looking at that fight, the context of that fight, and how he had to perform to win that fight, I walked away very impressed with McWilliams Arroyo, and I want to see him fight. I don't want to say one of the champions. If that does happen, of all the champions right now, I would like to probably see him in there with I'm going to say something like a Kale Yafai, just to see okay, Kale Yafai is a good, solid fighter who just happens to have a belt, but he's not this great champion. So if Kale could be a guy, or McWilliams could be a guy like that, then I think he should fight Rong Vasai or someone like that. But you know what? A Rong Vasai fight might actually make sense for Arroyo next, because they're both probably gonna be brought back on the fall series for the Superfly 3 that they're gonna do later on in the year. So when that does happen, it would make sense to have them fight each other, since they're both on the same card. HBO seems to have a habit of doing that, having guys on the card fight each other and whatnot. So I wouldn't be against it. I think one thing that McWilliams would have going for him that Estrada didn't have going for him when he fought Rambasai was the fact that he's a lot more. I think he's a stronger fighter than Estrada. He's a stronger fighter. There's a little more oomph on his jab. And that's just what it is. But I think even though he does present some different problems with Rambasai, I would probably lean towards Rambasai in that fight, because Rambasai, I'm not gonna lie, he showed me some stuff in that Estrada fight that I wasn't I think most people had never seen from Rambasai. Estrada forced him to show different parts of his skill set that we hadn't seen before. And he showed that he was more than just like a brawler or some guy who just hits hard. He's a thinking fighter in there. And it's going to be a daunting challenge to beat this guy, man. You beat guys like Romo Gonzalez and Estrada, you're a pretty damn good fighter. And you're doing that back-to-back. I mean, ain't much I can say about Cedric gets so wrong beside that will be negative at this point. The guy's proven himself. But I wouldn't mind seeing them go that route. So whether it's in Cajas, whether it's Yafai or Rong Vasai, I think Arroyo is – I want to see him in there with someone notable. I mean, let's see. You can go through – yeah, I mean, anybody, man. Even – what's funny? Maybe even a Romo Gonzalez rematch would be a good fight for him, because, Arroyo is at 115. He seems to be a better version of himself at the weight, because he was already a big fighter for 112. So, a lot of people, I remember when Roman fought Arroyo, that was a fight where Roman didn't look as dominant. He was still beating him, and he was beating him soundly, but he didn't look as dominant. He didn't stop Arroyo. That's where a lot of people think the decline for Roman really started. And maybe at this new weight class, being a little stronger, it could be a fight they look into in the future to look forward going forward. It's February right now. They were rumored to have Romo Gonzalez fight on the Canelo Triple G undercard rematch. So that'll be in May. It's 3 months away. If they get that fight done and squared away within 2 or 3 weeks, you could have a 2-month camp, 8-week camp, and boom, you're good. But I don't know. There's a lot of options, but I think that could be one to look into, because Romo Gonzalez seems to be going like this as a fighter. Arroyo, I don't want to say he's going like this, but he looked pretty damn good at the weight. So I want to see him in there with another top quality name, and that's a top quality name. It ain't too much more top quality names in that weight class than Romo Gonzalez, a guy who's been proven, a guy who was pound for pound king, a guy that he beat. A guy that beat Arroyo, and I'm sure that's a fight that Arroyo would like to have again. And if he beats Roman, his stock's going to go dramatically up, as it did with Rong Vasai. And he'll be the only man to claim that he beat Roman Gonzalez besides Rong Vasai. So that's a fight I'd love to see. That's the fight. There's other guys out there who have titles, and there's maybe some other notable names who don't have titles. But he beat Cuadras, very notable name in the weight class. So ideally for me, I think the next name will be Roman Gonzalez. And maybe that could be its own small card in LA or somewhere on the West Coast, or that could be on the Canelo Triple G undercard. But that's a fight I think they should look into. So you guys let me know what you think about McWilliams Arroyo and his performance. Do you guys think he has what it takes to be a champion? I think he would stand a very good chance against the likes of Cajas and Yafai. I'd love to see him in there with those guys. And as for Roman Gonzalez rematch, let me know what you guys think. Is that something that you think HBO and just the powers that be should look into for his next fight? Because I really think it's a good fight when you look at the levels of both fighters. Roman has dipped down a little bit. He's not the same destructive force he was at 112. Arroyo seems to be a little more naturally strong at the weight. So it's an even fight. It's a good fight, and it's a fight that'll provide us more insight to who should be where in the landscape of that division. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every video, my name is Brendan Taylor. And you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.